Right now, Russia is still firmly backing the Assad regime in Syria, with Vladimir Putin even warning against rushing to blame Bashar al-Assad for this week's deadly chemical attack. President Trump saying the attack that killed dozens of civilians, including children, crossed many lines for him, while our UN ambassador Nikki Haley pointed the finger at Russia for enabling Syria.
Russia has shielded Assad from UN sanctions. If Russia has the influence in Syria that it claims to have, we need to see them use it. We need to see them put an end to these horrific acts.
Joining us now, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Waltz, former Green Beret commander, former counterterrorism advisor to Vice President Cheney, and author of Warrior Diplomat, also a Fox News contributor. Are there any good options for the White House in Syria right now?
There's a number of options, John, and to take a step back, I'm glad that President Trump brought up the 2012 red line. I would add to that President Obama, essentially made meaningless. I would add to that in 2015, the UN knew that the Syrian regime had kept its chemical weapons, and still we did nothing. So I do think in the short term, we have to do something. We cannot let this stand. One option could be to strike the chemical production sites and the chemical weapons storage sites that we know exist. As a short-term military option, that's a deterrent for doing this again, punishes Assad. But I think importantly, we have to look at the strategic picture in terms of the signal that will send to the rest of the world that President Trump is not President Obama. And if we're looking, tie that into the talks we're having with China right now, it would also send a powerful message to North Korea that the United States will not let this stand, even if Russia will.
So if you were H.R. McMaster, the National Security Advisor, you would be telling the president that a military response is called for here?
I think we can have a limited military response that is, again, a targeted deterrent on the Assad regime using chemical weapons and using weapons of mass destruction on innocent people. We cannot, as the world's most powerful military and most powerful nation, continue as we have the last 6 years, just turn a blind eye to those types of atrocities. That's in the short term. In the longer term, there's been a lot of talk of safe zones to ease the humanitarian crisis, 12 million refugees destabilizing Europe. The head of NATO, former head of NATO, General Breedlove, said publicly that Russia is using refugees as an asymmetrical weapon to destabilize Europe and the United States. They've done more with refugees than divisions of Soviet tanks ever did to undermine NATO. And then we know ISIS is also trying to infiltrate fighters in those refugee flows. So I think in the short term, a strike, in the longer term, safe zones, and then we need to drive Assad to the bargaining table. As long as he thinks he's winning and gaining territory, he's not going to sit down and negotiate.
It sounds easy, but is it? Lieutenant Colonel Michael Waltz, Fox News contributor, former Green Beret commander. Thank you.